Hello everyone, and welcome to a build video. Today I'm going to be explaining my tip of the spear build and why it is so good for sniping, both solo and in group play, as well as a few techniques that I use while using it, and some different variations that you can use. Alright, so the variation that I use probably most of the time is the tip of the spear memento combined. Alright, it's just 4-piece tip of the spear, all rolled with headshot damage, with the memento backpack, and either you got a choice here, an Araldi chest plate with headshot damage, or you can use the chain killer with, again, headshot damage. Alright. Then my weapons are going to be a white death with damage to armor and preservation to give you that added survivability. You won't need the extra damage to kill the enemies, so that preservation definitely helps you stay alive. And then Nemesis. Obviously you're using the sniper specialization, by the way, but the Nemesis helps to restart your headhunter stacks when you don't have any tac ammo, which can happen, or to help take out some of the bigger, chunkier enemies, like breaking heavy helmets, killing the heavies, stuff like that. It just comes in handy. Why not use the Mantis? A lot of people would ask. The Mantis has a very low base damage and is unable to one-shot elites in 4-man scaling. And it's just, for me, is a very impractical weapon. The handling is weird, the scope is weird. Even Nemesis is your secondary. You should be primarily using this White Death and without a scope, because a scope is going to limit your field of view, and it's just going to be easier to snipe. You don't need the extra damage from a scope unless you're sniping from a very far distance. Now, for 4-man scaling, you've got two options. This build right here will work up to 3 men. Alright? So, with full memento stacks, that is, you will be able to one-shot 3 man, scaling elite enemies with the White Death, with no scope, with this build, with the tip of the spear buff. Now, a lot of people ask, why use tip of the spear over aces and eights? So, if you look at the headhunter talent, it says yada yada yada. Damage is capped to 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. Okay? So, what does aces and eights do? If you look at the aces and eights talent, or the buff you get from running the 4-piece, after 5 cards are flipped, the damage of your next shot is amplified by 30%. Alright? Now that's damage amplification. Amplification is different than total weapon damage or weapon damage increase. Alright? If you look at the tip of the spear buff, dealing damage with a signature weapon increases total weapon damage by 20% for 60 seconds. Alright? So your total weapon damage increase is going to increase the cap for Headhunter, allowing you to deal more damage. In short, amplified damage increases your bullet damage. Total weapon damage increases your total overall damage. Alright? Now, the skills I use are the Decoy and the Reviver Hive. Pretty simple. The Decoy is really useful just for drawing aggro off of you. And the Reviver Hive is pretty straightforward. It's used on a lot of DPS builds. Now, what do you do when you're in a 4-man legendary and you can't use the memento because you can't one-shot the elites? Alright, well, my recommendation, you got to use the chain killer, and then you've got an Araldi backpack with Vigilance. Alright, one other option that I believe would work, I haven't tested the numbers out on it yet, but if you have and can consistently use Composure, I think that would work too. Just because you get the brand set bonus of marksman rifle damage, but I have not tested this, so it is not confirmed. Vigilance is a difficult talent to use, and I only recommend using it in 4-man scaling. The reason is because there are a lot of enemies in legendaries. Alright? And so, with that, you're going to get targeted. And you have to minimize and play smart with Vigilance to be able to one-shot with the White Death. Alright? And keep your tip of the spear buff up. Alright? Now, the other option is you could run with, let's see, is it in my inventory? Aha, here it is. A second piece of Walker and Harris, which it also works with 10% headshot and then 15 weapon damage. Still use Vigilance. This works because you get that 5% damage to armor. That also scales with Headhunter well. That's why you want damage to armor on your White Death. Alright? Now, those are a couple of different variations you can use with your build. You could use this. The only difference between running the Araldi chest and running the Walker and Harris Chainkiller is you're going to get a little bit more extra damage off of that last blow, as well as the Walker and Harris is going to increase your TAC 50 damage. But that doesn't do too much. This is the build that I used in all of my solo legendary runs, and I'm going to show you a few techniques to use while you're running legendaries. Alright? Alright. First, I am going to show you how to quick scope your enemies. Alright? Now, let's see. This is an important technique to use when you are fighting from a higher altitude or when you are in an area that doesn't use or have much available side cover. Alright? So somewhere like from here, from up here, it's a nice vantage point, but there's no side cover. Alright? Now, when you have your decoy out, you can take a little bit more time to pick and choose your shots and take out who you want. But when it's down, especially solo, they will all be aggroing you. Ergo, you have to be careful and expose yourself as little as possible. The less damage you take, the better. So, this little circle is going to be your best friend. Get your enemy's head in the middle, zoom in, and fire. Alright? Wait. Make sure you wait until your reticle is closed. But this is the easiest way to quickscope. Alright? It takes a little bit of time to get good at, but with practice, it becomes easy.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
And this is where the preservation comes in handy a lot. It helps you stay alive, gives you that little bit of armor regen. Alright? That is quick scoping with the tip of the spear or any sniper build in general. Same concept works with a scope. Alright? But that's pretty much it. Alright. Next is how to fight from a side cover. Alright? So something like this, where it can cover your whole body, and you can peek and take shots as needed. Alright? So here I'm exposing as little of my character as possible, but I can still take long shots as needed, as long as I don't let them get to the side of me. And now, here's the other trick I forgot to mention actually. With Nemesis, instead of exposing your character like this and charging it up where you could be fired at the entire charge time, do this. Charge it behind cover, peek, acquire target, and fire. Alright? Now, areas like here, since the sniper rifle is going to have a lower rate of fire than most guns, obviously, spawn camping from a range is going to be your best decision, but it can work. Alright, taking out priority targets such as rushers, grenadiers, pretty much anything that isn't the generic assault type, to be quite honest. Alright? Alright. Now, how to deal with heavies. You're going to use your TAC 50 for this. The Nemesis works too, actually, though. Kill a regular ad. Break the helmet. Alright. Then, hit the head. Break the helmet. Hit the head. You can do this while sitting in cover, jiggling, or my personal favorite way of doing it, back here. You will get a little red dot when it's not something you can fire at, or your reticle will be like this. Another great reason not to snipe with a scope. But that is how you snipe while exposing as little of your character as possible. You can do it. The other thing that's nice about sniping without a scope is you can freely shoulder swap. So, let's see. If I'm somewhere like here, I can peek out over my other shoulder, whereas viewing through a scope is going to automatically put you in through your right shoulder. You always automatically aim with your right shoulder, and you cannot shoulder swap while in a scope. And that is killing heavies and sniping from cover with a higher cover in a nutshell. Same build, but yeah.